Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders Without podcast. I have a special treat for you, my new good friend here today, Dorothy from beautiful and warm Phoenix, Arizona. And she's got a beautiful story and a tremendous mission. She's a very established professional. She's an executive mentor in business, health expert, international best-selling author, keynote speaker, and a philanthropist, and has a big heart. She has a lot to say, and we will cover all of that. This is going to be a treat for us today. Dorothy, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be able to speak with you today.
It's my honor and pleasure. For people that don't know you, who's Dorothy?
I'm sorry.
For people that don't know you, who's Dorothy? Tell us about you. What's your story?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We're having a little difficulty
Yes.
with the audio today. I'm a conglomerate of a lot of different things, and some days I don't know which one I'm going to use first. But I did start out my life in an entrepreneurial environment, cattle ranching and crop raising. So I came out of that environment knowing how everything fits together in terms of how you need to manage all aspects of whatever you are doing. In other words, you need to be cognizant of every detail versus just the little detail that you have responsibility for. You need to know the whole umbrella of what the project is about from top to bottom. A lot of people look at just what I'm doing, look at what they're doing, but they don't look at the big picture. So things can go off track because they're not keeping track of the big picture. So I think being an entrepreneur or being a CEO is just natural if you have that background. If you have a background of knowing that you need to keep track of all the details.
Absolutely. Yes. We're going to talk about it in a moment. But first, I want to ask you some, as I said earlier to you before going live, I'd like to have a heart-to-heart conversation. I want to get to know the real person behind the title. So first of all, tell us, Dorothy, what makes you happy?
Doing makes me happy. I am a doer. If I'm
Wonderful.
out hiking, I'm a doer. If I am reading a book, I'm a doer because I'm getting knowledge that I can use later on. If I'm listening to music, I listen to the instruments, I listen to the words, I listen to the tone of the voice and how they all match. So it's again that wanting to keep everything connected to everything, because that's how the universe works. Everything is
Absolutely.
connected.
Totally, absolutely. What makes you smile?
Oh, a lot of things. I guess smiling, you could do that for no reason at all. But cute pictures of animals or children or the sunshine when you want sunshine, going out and doing something that you enjoy doing. Smiling is, I think, the best medicine.
Absolutely.
And being happy is best medicine.
You know, if doctors worldwide were to prescribe people 1 hour or 2 hour of smiling and laughing every day, we would see. I'm not a doctor, but I would venture and bet a lot that we would see a drastic reduction and pretty much most of the stress and the disease in the world.
That's true. That's true. Do you know that it takes more muscles in your face to be angry than it does to smile? I
Absolutely.
forgot what the number is, but it's like 2 or 3 times the number that you use.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. We froze just for a second when you said there is 3 times, I mean, 2 or 3 times more muscles to be angry than to be smiling. And I agree with you because I think it's what, like between 3,000 to 6,000 muscle just for a simple smile. That takes a lot of power, even that, Totally agree.
Yes.
Smiling is
So,
the most.
so if you're smiling, If you're
Mhm.
smiling, you can't frown.
Absolutely.
It's kind of simple.
And if you can't frown, you cannot be, down, and you cannot be, unhappy, and it's going to be the opposite. You will be motivated, energetic, passionate, and and happy and grateful, and it's a circle. It's going to grow like a
Yes, it's
snowball
a well,
in the right
and
direction.
that saying that the saying that smiling is infectious.
Totally, totally. Smile is the best, just like you said, best medicine. I was having a conversation yesterday with another wonderful lady in the UK, and we're talking about the power of smiling. And I said, you know what? I, s- I'm not a fan of using business cards, because when I go to a meeting or something, we all, or an event, we get like hundreds of business cards, and we always forget whose business card it is. But instead, if we just give the person a wonderful, genuine smile, the person is going to really remember that infinitely more than any and all of the business card combined that they may have received that day. And that's so true from my experience.
Right. Yes, and it takes less energy to smile than it does to frown.
Yeah, the business, a beautiful smile, a warm smile is the best business card, the best greeting, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. Hmm.
So, tell us, what makes you sad and angry?
Hypocrisy.
Mm,
Hypocrisy is my one of my Achilles heels, I think, because when I hear it and I see it, I just want to say to somebody, wake up. What are you doing? You're working against yourself instead of for yourself. And again, when you work for yourself, you're helping society. When you're working against yourself, you're putting mud in the water that everybody's going to swim in, so to speak. So hypocrisy is my
I
something
agree.
that upsets me.
Me too. You just said something earlier that is powerful that I can relate with, and I keep hearing that with a lot of people. Is that you said we're all connected? So, and I heard a quote, and that was also emphasized by one of my previous guests that said, when you help others, even if you don't know them, in a way, directly and indirectly, you're helping yourself, because we're all connected. We might be physical bodies in the physical world, but ultimately we are light, we are energy, we are frequency, we are vibration, and those are all one massive, what do you call it, massive ensemble set. It's all the same. They all form one massive, formation. So when you help someone, you're helping yourself. So that's why I'm such a big, fan of building impactful businesses. But we'll talk about it in a moment. Tell us, what scares you.
I don't get scared easily. And I don't even remember what it might be that I'd get scared of. And the scare would only last a few seconds because my mind goes to solutions.
Wow.
Immediately, what is my solution here?
Hmm.
Even whether it's an animal that I might meet on the hiking trail or a snake that I might meet on the hiking trail, I look for a solution. And so I don't have time to be scared.
That's wonderful. When you said that your mind goes always to solution, is that something that's always been the case with you, or is that something that you've learned as a result of your wisdom over the years? When you were younger, was that also the same thing for you? When you faced an obstacle, your mind went straight to the solution? Is that something that, as you know got more and more experienced, and through the years, as a result of that, now your first instinct, your first reflex is solution? Was it always like that?
Correct. Well, see, I grew up on a cattle ranch and we did farming, and we didn't
Hmm.
have someone that we could turn to except someone in the
Mm,
family. But if you're out somewhere alone And I learned this from the time, I guess I was probably a toddler, that you need to have a solution. There's a solution for everything. And yet you need to be quick on finding the solution. And working with animals, an animal may do something that you hadn't expected, but you need to have a solution or you could be toast.
Sure. Sure.
There were a couple of instances where I protected my children, not my children, I'm sorry, my siblings. And it was one of those situations where if I had gotten scared myself, I wouldn't have been able to protect my sister. And so I am solution oriented from the moment my feet hit the floor in the morning until I go to bed at night.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And it's
Yeah.
automatic. It's not something that I really need to stop and think ahead. It comes to me in the moment.
Beautiful. Hmm. And that's something that I keep hearing from more and more people is that a lot of time when we face with a problem, we always look for outward help, whether it's family, friends, colleagues, boss, teachers, or worse, the government. While all the answers are already within us, we need to look inward and not outward. We're more than enough to find a solution for any situation for most situation that we face, we're able to solve them more. And that's something that not a lot of people are doing. Myself included, is instead of first looking inward, we have almost like this semi reflex of looking for answers to others, asking, and that's, yeah. Hmm. Do you have any
Yes.
tips on do you have any tips on that, to look more inward, to look within yourself for an answer, as opposed to right away jump to seeking outside assistance?
Yes. People look for someone else to solve their issues, and you need to solve your own issues because you have the best answer for you. And so then what people do is they look outside and then they're given an answer and then they don't like the answer and then they complain about it.
Very true.
So a lot of people are complaining all the time because our government doesn't intend to make everybody happy.
That's
We
very
need to
true.
make ourselves happy. We need to find solutions for ourselves within the system. And there's a lot of room in the system to find a solution for what you need for your life.
Very true. Yes, I agree. Let me ask you now a couple of fun questions. When we're kids growing up, people always ask us. So, for example, looking back at your life, when you were, say, in primary school or middle school, people were asking, "So, Dorothy, what do you want to become when you grow up?" What was your answer back then, if you remember?
Oh my goodness, that my hair would be on fire. What do you want to be when you grow up? You already are.
Mm,
It's what do you want to do to give to yourself and to give to others when you grow up?
mhm.
Because you already are. You're a human being.
Okay.
So that's I guess that's one of my other Achilles heels, but it's already passed because my children are grown.
Yeah.
I have grandchildren, but I don't hear that because I'm not around them enough to hear someone else say, "What do you want to be when you grow
What
up?"
what so what did you have anything in mind growing up that, hey, I would like to do this when I grow up, when I become older?
Yes, I did. Interestingly enough, that entrepreneurship was in my mind.
Wow.
I was going to be a successful whatever. I wasn't sure what it was going to be, but it was going to, and I even used my mom's purse for a briefcase.
That's amazing.
One of my mom's purses that she had, had been done, was done with, it was black.
Hmm.
I wish I still had that purse just as a reminder to hang it in my office so that I could say, aha, there's where I came from.
That's adorable. Yeah.
And I think I had it when I was 4 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. I was
Awesome.
the one who was always taking off up the road to go somewhere.
Mm, okay, nice.
So it can become your roots. If your roots are set, you can make them grow.
Beautifully said. I love that. Now, let's, when, what was your favorite subject while you were in school?
School was interesting for me. I'm dyslexic, so there was a lot of learning how to learn how other people learn
Mm-hmm.
so that I could fit into the system.
Yes.
So I didn't really reading. Reading was my favorite subject. Reading and writing.
Okay.
Those were my two favorite subjects, and I often look at myself and say, where did the writing come from? I can understand the reading, but the writing, I don't understand why I was fascinated with wanting to learn to write thoughts. And I had a diary that I kept for, oh my goodness, probably 15 years. And then I decided that it was, didn't need that anymore. So I let go of it. But writing and reading, I think, were my two favorite. Uh,
Cool. And what was your least favorite subject in school?
let's see, the most difficult for me was math.
Me too.
Yes, math was and still is. I'm thankful for calculators.
Oh, yes.
Calculators save me.
Oh, yes. Me too. Cool. Awesome.
So thanks for Hewlett Packard, who had the first calculator that did all kinds of things.
Absolutely. Now, looking back at your life, how did you get on the path that you are right now? Was that smooth sailing? You went into one direction and you remained in that direction all the time, and you had to make some turns and twists along the way. How did you get on your path that you are currently in?
Well, I think the important thing is to remember that there's a solution. Number one,
Yes.
and number
Hmm.
two, if you've gotten this far, you can go further.
Absolutely.
There's no reason to think that you can't. If you think you can, and this is a Henry Ford quote, if you think you can do a thing, you can. If you think you can't, you're right.
Yes, absolutely. Napoleon Hill said something similar. Whether you think you can, whether you think you cannot, you're right both ways.
That's right. That
Mhm.
certainly is right. You're right
Absolutely.
both ways.
Absolutely. Hmm.
So all the entrepreneurs that are successful did not just start something and have smooth sailing.
Absolutely. Especially entrepreneurship, that's far from being smooth sailing.
And we can use a quote from Edison, who developed the light bulb. An interviewer asked him, how many times have you failed? And he said, well, I really don't know, but some number came up, was 100 or 1,000 or whatever it was. And he said, well, I know 100 ways how not to
Exactly.
invent the light bulb. I only need one way and I will
Absolutely.
find it. And he did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a lot of people are afraid of starting something, starting the business or whatever because they're afraid of failure. But they need to understand that even if you fail, you're getting invaluable insights and lessons. And it's very important to know what to do. And it's twice, if not 10 times more important to know what not to do. Because when you know what not to do, that's going to drastically reduce your chances of, sorry, that's going to drastically increase your chance of success the next time
Mm-hmm.
because you know what not to do
Absolutely.
next round around. Yes. Cool.
And I suppose there is a point in time where if you're not able to find the solution right away, you need to step back, so to speak, and clear the air so you can think of where the solution is versus trying to push, 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 on something that right now is not working.
Absolutely.
Because when you step back, you can see, oh, if I tweak this way, it'll work.
Yeah, exactly.
And you never know what the tweak needs to be until you can step back.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, let's talk about story. You've heard I'm sure you heard the saying, change your story, change your life. Now, I'm sure we all I've had many times to change my story, and I'm sure you might have had to change your story along the way. I want to know, how did you change your story when you had to do it in order to get closer to your goals and dreams?
Well, I think it's contemplation.
Mm,
Contemplating, okay, here's where I am. Where do I want to go? What is my passion? What have I done in the past that I can use as an example to move forward in making this change or to regroup? Uh, and there's been a lot of regrouping in terms of my business in that um, people have to learn that what you can do it without having to take medication or having surgery, or you can have a business even though you've not grown up in a work, in a business environment. You can start from scratch and just keep
that's
working it. And then also have mentors. Mentors
oh
are
yes.
another thing that are important. Sometimes people need mentors. And I've had mentors along the way, not in a formal way, but just in an informal way. And informal mentors can mean as much as formal mentors. And then reading. Going back to my point of liking to read, I have about 300 and some odd books in my library.
Wow, that's amazing. I love reading. Yeah, yeah. The saying is, readers or leaders. I just love reading. If I My goal is to read one book a week. I'm not getting there yet, but that's my goal. You mentioned something very powerful. You said getting mentors. Do you have any tip for someone just starting right now, or someone want to level up? How would they go about finding the right mentor? Because there's a lot of people out there that claim to be mentors, but they're just nothing near that. Do you have from your experience, do you have any tips on finding a good mentor that's going to help you at the level that you are and that is legit, that is real?
Excellent question. And it really is individualistic, but the things that you want to be mentored for, you need to know what you want to be mentored for. It may be
True.
two things or three things.
Mhm.
So, or even more. So you need to find someone who has a passion for that kind of question or need. And you might need to have more than one person depending on what it is that you're looking to be mentored for, and also the type of personality that the person has. What's your personality and what would be a good fit for you? What helps you the most? Someone who's very direct and has a lot of organizational skills, for example, or someone who's more laid back and just asks a lot of questions and leads you to the answer. So those are the things that you want to find out for yourself. And you may need to start with one mentor and change and do another one.
How did you get your first mentor? How,
I'm
how did you
sorry.
find how did you find your first mentor?
Well, my first mentors turned out to be somebody I was working for
Yes.
when I first started. In fact, I was in high school,
Mm,
and it was a woman, and she was, I worked for Northwestern Bell Telephone Company way back when. I'm not going to date myself. And she was a woman who was very well organized, very direct, and also supportive.
that's
And
important.
so she was my first mentor, and I still remember her. She's gone now, but she was my best mentor and boss.
Amazing. Amazing. Cool.
Yes.
All right. Tell us about your business. What are you, tell us more about what you're doing with your business.
Well, I have two hats that I wear, and it depends on, the day of the week, I guess. Um, I'm a metaphysician,
Oh,
and I
wow.
use hypnosis to help people resolve the issues that they have floating around in their head that they can't get their arms around. And it can be anything from abdominal pain to zits and everything in between, meaning that you don't need to have surgery or body parts removed.
Really? Wow.
And so, if you have something that's bothering you, you don't need to go to the doctor. You can find out the cause, and the cause resides in the unconscious mind versus the conscious mind. The solution also resides in the unconscious mind. So all
Absolutely.
I'm doing is helping people to facilitate that. And then if I wear my other hat, which is entrepreneurship, I'm teaching people how to communicate better, how to negotiate, how to problem solve, how to coordinate their work environment so that they are not wasting a lot of time, wasting time having meetings that maybe don't need to be had. They could be done in a memo or something like that. So
Absolutely.
that's the other part. And then I do a lot of lectures, workshops, webinars for professional people to be more effective in their work environment.
Okay. There's a lot to cover here. So you first mentioned you use hypnosis to help people find
Yes.
the root cause of whatever they're suffering. Are you also using hypnotherapy?
Yes,
Are you also using past life regression and future life progressions?
absolutely.
Wow, that's something that I've been learning a lot about, and it's absolutely fascinates me. I mean, I'm even thinking of. So, for what kind of person do you think that anyone can benefit from having their past life readings done, or is that only for people that are mature enough to handle it?
Well, with a past life, it's not a reading.
Mm,
I don't read past lives. Some people do, but it's not beneficial. Yes, it's wonderful to know that you did something in a past life. The benefit is you're connecting to that part of yourself back then and processing any issues that were distressful or that were never resolved. In fact, I worked with somebody yesterday who has severe groin on the left groin pain on the left side that radiates down to her knee, and it goes on and off sometimes. And when it comes on, it's because she has a fear of moving forward. And the past life that she went into was when she was a male and was an herbalist. And now she's going to, in this life, she wants to be a professional hypnotherapist, and she's having trouble moving forward with that process. So we found out that she had been, because she was not supposed to be doing herbal medicine in this community, they captured her or him and quartered him. So she died, or he died, because he was doing something that the community didn't want him to do. So now she's holding her back in this life because she has that imprint in her soul that she's doing something wrong and she could be punished for it. So
mm,
the pain from that past life comes into her leg in this life. I mean, literally, the pain is
yes,
there.
absolutely.
She's feeling the pain, and she says, "Some mornings I can't even hardly get out of bed."
Oh, yes.
So that's how important past life work is. But it's the
Yeah.
processing, not just the knowing.
Hmm. From my understanding is that a lot of people look into getting their past life regressions and future life progression because they want to find the root cause of whatever thing is holding them back currently, whether it's a mental, blockage, or even just like you mentioned, a physical ailment. Like for example, you mentioned this example of this lady was a male. There's a lot of other examples I read that, for example, someone was a soldier, let's say in World War I. They got killed with a bayonet and their knee and their heart or whatever, and now they have a problem in the heart and the knee or whatever. So that, and for example, when someone is born with, say, with a birthmark, it's probably because there was a fatal wound at the time, at last death, or a previous one that you just carry on lifetime after lifetime, until you solve that. And one way to solve it is to go and find the root cause of it. And from what I understand, a lot of people have been able to solve that issue by doing that.
Correct. Yes. And it can run the gamut from, like I said, from A to Z, abdominal pain to
Hmm.
zits and everything in between. And even acne can have a root cause
How about
versus this
how
life.
how about like diseases, like say for example cancer? Do you think that has something to do with the previous, any connection with previous lives?
Oh, absolutely.
I even heard someone say that whatever disease we have in this life, we will carry it on with us to the next life. What are your thoughts on that?
Correct. Everything that's not corrected in this life, this body, will get carried forward.
Wow.
So the goal is to resolve is all the issues that you can resolve in body, because that's why we're in body to begin with. We're not our bodies, we are our soul.
Absolutely. Hmm.
And so in this body, it's just a vehicle. And so what we don't resolve here, our soul crosses over into the fourth dimension, and we can resolve a lot of things on the fourth dimension. However, sometimes we choose, that's a choice, to come back
Yes.
in body to resolve whatever it is that we didn't resolve before, or we didn't resolve in the fourth dimension.
Yes, and I also read in from some of the other respected authors that before we are born, we have this pre-birth meetings that we choose because life is just, it is a metaphor. Life is just like a school. Let's say you go to college, you decide what major you want to take, you want to get, what you want to learn. And before we are born, we decide what lessons do we want to learn in this lifetime. And someone, for example, can choose to be a victim or paralyzed, or have one of those terrible accidents or disease like cancer, to learn something, either to learn compassion, to be out. And it's not just about us, because as you said and I said as well, we're all connected. For example, before we are born, we choose with we have a group of soul people that we always, just like a cast of characters in a theater, we come together, we each play a role, and we want to help maybe someone else to learn the lessons of, say, compassion, of helping. And then in the next lifetime, it's going to be the other way around. They're going to be the second, you will be the one taking care of them, and so on and so forth. What are your thoughts on that?
You hit the bullseye. Yes, I agree with all of that.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I help people do is to discover why they chose their parents. For example, their siblings. You
Mm.
choose your parents, you choose your grandparents, you choose your siblings. I know, okay, so how do you choose your grandparents? Well, because they're going to need to be the parents for your parents. That's why you choose your grandparents. And you all get together and have a conference and make decisions and choices and agreements. And then you land in your body when you're born, and some of that is not transmitted to us. We need to discover it. And some of us are born, if you will, aware that we were born to do what we're doing. And then we look out and we say, okay, what are these other people doing?
Yes.
Because they don't
Yes.
know. They just don't know. And then that's why you need to do your past life work, you need to discover why you came here with your parents and what it was that you wanted to learn this lifetime around.
We have like, as they say, we have like pre-birth, we have life contracts with people. We have missions, like just like in the movies, we have a mission to complete, to do. And we also have contracts with each and every single important individuals that are playing an important role in our life at different stages. You know, once the contract of that person is over, then that person is going to drift away and move on from our life. What are your thoughts on that as well?
The same, it's
Mhm.
on target. It's absolutely on target. And the more people who know that, the more harmonious relationships we'll have worldwide.
Absolutely.
And there are organizations that are focusing on doing that so that we all can be living in what we used to call paradise. Remember that?
Yes. The
Remember
Garden of
that
Eden.
story about paradise?
The Garden of Eden. Yes.
The Garden of Eden, that's right, Garden of Eden, paradise. We can do that. It's just a matter of choosing to do it.
Exactly.
There's no reason not to, but yet, and that's the hypocrisy that
Yes.
I run into occasionally.
You know, that's such a fascinating topic. I've been completely devouring anything I can find my eyes on, just books, videos. It's just so fascinating. I grew up in an environment that was not very spiritual, but I can say that over the course of this year and a half that we had this pandemic, I've been having some kind of spiritual awakening. I've been very interested in that, and I've been just reading and devouring anything I can find. And it's very fascinating because it helps you understand the world and understand a lot of things. Like for example, I read one of the most fascinating thing is like we come here to learn lessons. And for example, let's say you did something really bad in the past life. Let's say you were like a Nazi SS soldier in the past life. Then you may come back as a Jewish person, a Jewish rabbi in the next life, so you can understand them. Whatever each of us, we can experience everything, every facet, just like in a theater. When you're gonna be poor, rich, small, young, man, women, prince, slave, and so on and so forth. So you can get to taste, experience everything about this physical world.
Correct.
That's absolutely beyond
So
fascinating.
yes, that's always, we're learning and learning and learning. Now we don't need to be in, necessarily be in body to learn. We can
Mhm.
learn in the fourth dimension and then choose to go to other dimensions
Absolutely.
because there are more dimensions than we mainstream beliefs know.
Why
You
do you
know,
think this vital information is being held from the masses? Is this on purpose or is this
I think it's out of fear, and also, and this may be um, dictatorial. I think control. People want to control the narrative, and
absolutely? Yeah.
so if someone else has information that that person doesn't have, in order to control the narrative that they want, they need to discount it.
Yes. Hmm.
So discounting is something that we need to be careful about in terms of do I buy into that, or am I strong enough to say thanks but no thanks
Absolutely.
and be the oddball in the community? Or you don't need to be blatant about it. I go on about my business. The majority of people that I interact with don't know what I do, other than that I'm a hypnotherapist.
Amazing. How did you get into hypnotherapy?
Um, well, it's a tool that I needed to help people access their unconscious mind and their subconscious mind. And I also work on the cellular level so we can release trauma out in the cells. And in order to do that, that person needs to be uh, in a deep focus. That's all hypnosis is. Hypnosis is not really a thing, it's a word put on what your mind already does. your mind goes into a focus when you're driving, reading, watching TV, um, playing the piano, whatever. You're focusing on just one thing to the exclusion of other things. Well, what I do then is I help you to get into a slightly more narrow focus, and then give your unconscious mind the instructions to discover what you need to discover. And so I will say, go to the time and place when. And so when I worked with the woman yesterday about her groin, I said, go to the time and place where you first had an injury in the left leg groin. And out popped this past life that she had had as a male. And it was just seconds after I asked the question,
Wow.
or gave the instruction. It was just seconds. And the picture started unfolding. And she started reporting, my client started reporting the lifetime, and then we got it resolved.
That's
So when
amazing.
she left here, she did not have any groin pain that was radiating down to her knee.
Wow. That's
So
powerful.
hypnosis, and technically, I'm certified as a hypnotherapist because that's what our legal system requires.
I see.
So I jumped through all the hoops to uh, get my certification.
Have you done any past life readings on yourself?
I have done several past life. I've done 10 past lives
Wow.
of my own. And of course, I had a practitioner who helped me.
Okay.
Um, so I know why I came to this lifetime, and a lot of other things that went on before this lifetime. And I've been doing this kind of work since the first lifetime.
I think this must be one of the most incredibly fascinating and fulfilling line of work anyone can choose. I find it beyond fascinating. Do you feel the same way towards that calling?
Yes, I do. It's exhilarating. It is empowering, and it is also. I enjoyed seeing people healing,
Absolutely.
healed, transformed, having a happy life. That's more joy to me than anything. And of
Absolutely.
course, I have my children. Their joy. I have a lot of joy with my children, my grandchildren, obviously, and so they know what I do.
Is there, yes, of course. Is there any age limit or age, no, sorry, not age limit. Is there any is hypnotherapy and having your own past life regression done something that you would recommend for any age, or is there a specific age that you would be better equipped mentally, or anyone can do it? Anyone would be able to benefit from it from any age.
Well, I think age 5, when you just use hypnosis and you need the child to
Wow,
be able to describe things,
that early.
5,
Wow.
4 or 5. But a lot of children have past life memories that come through
Yes.
spontaneously. In fact, there's several books
Hmm.
that have been written, and uh, so the past lives do come through. The child just doesn't know. In fact, I have a client now that she says her daughter says things about her past life, and that's not unusual at all. There's a book called Children's Past Lives by Carol Bowman. And Carol has done a lot of research over the last 2 decades on children's past lives, and helping parents to help their children and allow their children to do the recall of their past lives. Because when you deny the child's beliefs, it can really do damage, and you're not intending to
Absolutely.
do damage. And I really feel sorry for my parents, because, or especially my mom, because I would make these pronouncements about things that I knew, that she was afraid that if I said it in public, that people would think I was crazy.
Or possessed, yeah. Hmm.
So she would oftentimes say, now, Dorothy, don't get carried away.
What was the kind of things you were telling her? Is it about something that's going to happen or something that you knew from before your birth?
Both.
Oh, wow. So
Both.
are you also a clairvoyant? You're able to see the future?
I don't have a clear picture, but I have a knowing.
Mm,
It's a knowing. And also with the, when I was saying things, it was a knowing that I thought everybody knew.
yes.
And I did not figure out that they didn't know until I was a freshman in college. I thought they just weren't talking about it.
Beautiful.
And
Wow.
then when I was a freshman in college, I met a woman who said, no, everybody doesn't know that.
But everyone can have access to it. It's just a matter of just unlocking it and being acknowledging it that we do have this capacity.
Correct. Everybody has the capacity. It's been taught out of them. If you can,
Yes. By
if they've
society
been
and all that.
taught
Yeah.
not to use their intuitive ability.
So we talked about something that's extremely passionate for me as well for yourself, which is past life regression. What are your thoughts on future lives progression? Do you think they would be as equally as beneficial for someone than past life regression, especially seeing what they may become in the future?
Yes, if someone wants to do that, I certainly help them do that.
Wow. Okay.
And
Okay.
you don't know every detail. It gives you just, it's like
Glimpses.
a snapshot.
Mm.
You'll know your gender. You'll know what you are coming to accomplish, or you'll know what mission you have.
And do you see the year and the area or?
That can be revealed too. I don't know. Some people don't care where they're going to be, but if they want to know, that can be revealed also. And you choose to come back. You don't have to come back. You choose to come back because that's the way you want to do it. So if you choose not to come back, that's your choice.
So just part of our spiritual evolvement until we graduate. I read something that made it in a very simple comparison, saying that again with college, like let's compare the two extreme. Let's compare, for example, Hitler with say the Dalai Lama. Hitler can be compared to can be like someone like in a third grade that which is like in every class you have good students and bad students that ace it and learn so fast that they even have to they will even skip classes while others have to they will fail, they will have to retake classes, take summer classes and tutoring and all that. Like say that person was making the case of, for example, Hitler being say a third grader, whereas the Dalai Lama would be someone and postgraduate doing their masters. But eventually, all of us will graduate, but it's going to take longer for some. Just like in school, some students graduate longer and others faster. What are your thoughts on that comparison?
Well, there, because that each person is doing it on the way that they are understanding
Mhm.
themselves. And it may also have a pattern of what they had done before. They're repeating the same pattern. For
Until they
example,
learn.
failing a class and having to take it over again, they might be using that as a way to work out something. They just don't know what it is.
So, can doing past life regressions or future life progression help someone to speed up that learning process?
Absolutely.
Wow, amazing.
They will understand what they're doing to them. In other words, it's a self-sabotage. Why are you self-sabotaging?
Absolutely,
There's
yeah,
a
yeah.
reason that you're self-sabotaging. You just don't know what it is. Once you find out, then you can correct it because there is a solution. And
Again,
it
that
may
comes
be
back.
just a fear. It may be a fear. If I graduate, maybe when somebody graduated from a school, they had a catastrophe. Ah, fear of graduating. Oh my goodness. And that's what they're repeating. Graduating is not safe. Because in a previous lifetime, they graduated from whatever, and then they had a disaster. It doesn't make any difference what the disaster is.
So
But
when
that fear is in the soul.
you mentioned something that caught my eye. You said we can choose to come or not come back. So when, let's say we decide to come back, do we have the choice to choose what time can we come back? Can we come back in the past, in the future, or is time not linear? You know what I mean? Like, for example, let's say after this life, someone decides to come back. Are they going to be coming back at a chronological time, just let's say this time, or they can decide to come, say, and 5,000 years down the road in the future, or they can go back even 3,000 years, let's say, in the days of, say, the Roman Empire or the Egyptians. Can they choose that now?
Yes. I can give you a personal example.
Wow.
My dad crossed in 94, and then he reincarnated as my grandson
Wow.
in 97.
Amazing. How did you
It,
realize he came back as your grandson?
well, actually, I didn't. Well, I'll back up a little bit. I did some work with him telepathically, with the help of my past life regression therapist. I contacted him on the other side. You can do that. You can talk to people on the other side. Sometimes people you don't even know want to come and give you a message. So I talked to my dad, and he had not done his life review. So we instructed him to do his life review. And I did 3 sessions with him. I laugh and said I paid for 3 therapy sessions for my dad. And then I said, well, I'll talk to you later. And this was in July. And then in December of that same year, he popped in and said to me, I'm going to do it by myself.
Wow.
And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Okay, do it by yourself then. March of 90, this was in 96, December of 96. In March of 97, my grandson was born. I didn't have any idea. It just didn't even occur to me. But one of my sisters said, do you think our dad reincarnated as your grandson?
Wow.
And I said, oh my God, I never even thought of that. Hold it. Don't tell me anything more. I'll do a regression and find out.
Wow.
Sure enough, he had. And I asked the question, what prompted you to want to be my grandson? This was my first grandchild.
Wow. Amazing.
And he said, I want to be held by you. I want to hear your voice. And I knew and he used my son's name, would be a good father.
Wow. And go
And
ahead,
he
sorry.
had my son and his grandfather had a workable relationship.
Amazing. Did you notice, while being in the presence of your grandson, a special connection or even a different aura or similarities between him and your father?
There's some interesting things. One thing, he has difficulty with women. My dad did. And now my grandson is sort of like hands off. And then there's some of the food that my dad liked, he likes too. And the food that I'm talking about is not normally what kids would like.
So when someone comes back, I'm sure they know it on a soul level, but do they know it at a physical level? Basically what I'm saying is, does your grandson know that he is basically the reincarnation of your father at a physical level? Is he aware of that, or is that something
Well,
that
on
you
a
told him?
physical level, yeah, it's not the same. He's much taller than my dad. My dad was 5'10". He's
Mhm.
6'5". He's 6'5". Um, he he has a lot of different interests, of course, than my dad. My dad was a cattle rancher. My grandson is a aeronautical engineer. Um, so there's a lot of difference there. But he's very quiet. My dad was quiet in a lot of ways. So I don't know whether he really recognizes the similarities because he never met my dad, of course, which would have been his great grandfather.
Did you mention that to him at any time?
I did not. I don't know if my son has. I haven't asked him if he told his son that he was the reincarnation of his great grandfather.
What do
I
you think
just
would be,
never asked.
what do you think will be his reaction once he finds that out?
He'd probably just take it in and kind of let it go on by. Now, my other grandson is into very highly tuned in, so he knows. He's not an. I don't know who he reincarnated as, but he's tuned in. He has been since a very young age, and his sister
Amazing.
also.
You know, sometimes we meet someone that is a complete stranger, but we have this deep connection with them as if we've known for each other. Do you think that? And I read that these could be some people that we have a connection at a soul level, that they appear at a certain time in our life for to complete a mission, that a contract that we had before. These could be former lovers, enemies, friends, family. What are your
Yes.
thoughts on that?
Well, that's the way it works. You can
Mm,
be enemies and then you come back to work through that. It's called soul mates. Now, there's a difference between soul mates and twin souls. Soulmates, everybody wants to marry their soulmate kind of thing.
yes.
Well, yes and no. Um, because, like you said, you could be, if you marry somebody that was an enemy of yours in a past life, which a lot of people can do, um, it would be a real tough go. But that
Absolutely
may be what you
fascinating.
chose to do, is to marry someone who was going to mirror back to you what you need to see in yourself.
Wow. Absolutely fascinating.
So when it's mirrored back to you, it may mirror back as something terrible and you don't want it. And so then you get a divorce and keep on doing the same thing over. It's called same face, different guy, or same woman, different face,
Yes, absolutely. Wow.
until you get those things worked out.
Yeah. Same soul, different bodies. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a twin soul is a soul that has chosen to divide itself and then have
Yes.
two separate lives at the same time or pretty close to the same time, maybe a year or
Wow.
a few years apart, and then to reunite as significant others.
Amazing. So, how many simultaneous life can a soul have?
Simultaneous?
Oh, there's no limit. Yes.
Well, I'm there's just been some material written recently about souls being three divided in three pieces, three parts, and having three simultaneous lives.
And usually these three people interact in the same lifetime together, or they completely two different areas of the world, completely unconnected.
they can be in different areas of the world and maybe not meet up at all.
Wow.
Or you can meet up if that's the choice. One might want to meet up, the other one might not want to.
So you mentioned
It's choice again. Those,
soulmate. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah,
Go ahead.
soulmate,
No, you
and
mentioned soulmates. You mentioned twins, soul twins, and then there's soul flames. What is a soul flame?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Soul flame. A
Soul
soul.
flame, same thing. Same
Yeah.
thing as a twin soul.
Okay. Wow.
Same thing, but they're both the same. But they're just two different names for whatever reason.
Fascinating. I mean, this is kind of conversation.
Fascinating.
Absolutely. I can. What is the process of becoming a hypnotherapist? Because I've been, fascinated by that. And believe it or not, just I would say 2 weeks ago, I started seeing ads on becoming a hypnotherapist on Facebook and Instagram because the AI is so powerful. As I search something, they know what kind of information they want to put in front of you. So how is the process of becoming an hypnotherapist? I might be interested myself.
All right, I can give you, I can direct you to an organization that's very active in Japan, by the way. It's called Earth, EART, all capital letters, EART, and then lowercase h. I'll give you the URL. They do training. In fact, they're going to do a webinar training, I think in September.
Amazing.
I don't know if they're going to be giving, but you can connect up with people who are doing teaching in Japan for hypnotherapists
So is that
and past
something?
life regression. First of all, you need to take your training as a hypnotherapist, and then you take training to do past life regression work.
Is that something that is each country has their own, accreditation and an own, governing body, or is that once you have that, you can practice it anywhere in the world?
Yeah, yes, Earth is an association all worldwide.
Mhm.
You can be a member of Earth no matter what country you live in if you meet the criteria.
Do you need to have any previous medical, experience, medical or psychology, you know, degrees or anything to get into that, or anyone can get into it?
Well, here, being able to help people heal on the cellular level, all you need to do is to be aware that your body can heal itself and your mind can heal the body.
Wow,
That's all. You don't
amazing.
need to, in fact, you don't need a diagnosis. I have a pain in my groin. How, and okay, we can give you all kinds of steroids or whatever to block the pain, but that's not healing it.
No, absolutely not. Hmm.
The cause needs to be accessed on the unconscious, subconscious, and cellular level. Now, cellular level is an interesting thing because your cells can actually talk
Absolutely.
using your own voice. So I ask the cell, what do I need to know to help this situation so we can heal that pain? And the cell knows. I don't have to know.
Yes. Wow. Incredible. I'm definitely gonna need to do more research, and please send me that link for that organization and the
I
training
will send you
program,
the link.
please.
Mhm. And you can
Yes.
use my name as a reference.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
uh, I haven't taught in Japan, but I've taught in India. I've taught in the Netherlands, Brazil,
Oh wow.
Turkey, Greece, several states, of course, in the United States. I teach, just a specialty.
Do you still do hypnotherapy? Regression and progressions.
Yes,
Okay. Hmm. Interesting.
yes. People who want to have I recommend sometimes to some of my clients to do past life work. If they're willing, that's fine. If they're not, it's okay. And then people who want to do progression work, we do that. And so
Amazing.
sometimes, oh, and the other thing I do with people is to connect them with guides who specialize in what they want to accomplish.
So are you doing that? Wow, that's amazing. Are you doing that through accessing their Akashic records?
Yes,
Wow,
you can access the Akashic records.
that's fascinating. I'm just
You know,
blown away right now.
Edgar
Yes.
Casey was the quintessential Akashic records
Yes.
uh, authority, I guess you could say. And he has a library. He's no longer here, but he has a library in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Wow.
And I've been there doing workshops.
Is that something that anyone can do with the proper guidance and training, or you have to be at a certain stage mentally to be able to access your Akashic records?
It just doing the hypnosis work, and some people can do meditation and access the Akashic records.
Wow. Okay. I have
So
a
if
book
you're
on.
good at meditation and you go into a meditative state and direct your unconscious mind to go there, you may not be successful the first time, but if
Yes.
you work toward that, it will take you there. Your unconscious mind will take you there.
Wow. Just like a muscle, just needs some training. Okay. Absolutely
Yes, you're
amazing.
that brain muscle.
Wow, absolutely fabulous. I love that. See, this is why I do this, because I love to connect with amazing people, and learn incredible things. So honestly, I'm honored and blessed to be connecting with you, Dorothy. We can talk for hours and hours, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what I want to talk. I think if we were to do this, is going to be like a Joe Rogan type of podcast, like a 2-3 hour show. But wow,
Yes, I know.
absolutely
I
phenomenal.
enjoyed it.
You know, I I'm a firm believer that everything happens not only everything happens for a reason, but the universe puts the right people and right pieces in front of you at the right time. And I guess right now is the perfect time that me and you were supposed to have that conversation, because this is the time that I'm able and capable to have that conversation. I might not have been able to do it a year ago because I wasn't spiritually evolved at that time, but now, wow, the more I get into that, the more I feel that this might be one of the things that I'm the most passionate about.
Yes, it is. You have a lot of passion about it, but you also have a lot of information, and that's wonderful. You've got it right on the nose. So I would recommend that if you're interested in going in that direction, that you would be a good clinician or a good practitioner to help people.
Do you train people?
I personally have not done training in terms of the overall picture. I do specialty training on a particular issue.
Hmm.
Um, so because other people are doing it and that's their passion, and
Hmm.
that's wonderful. So I do specialty training.
Because for me, the thing I'm the most passionate is helping people, and this would be one of the best way to help people. But I'll do my research on that. But yeah, let me ask you now. You said you have two hats, and we have just barely scratched the surface of just the first hat. Let's talk about your entrepreneurial side. Tell
Well,
us about that.
the entrepreneurial side actually functions alongside of everything else I do.
Hmm.
Everything I do, and then because I have that skill, I can teach other people how to be entrepreneurs and what they need to bring to the table for themselves so that they realize that it's not just a job, it's a passion and it's a skill.
Hmm.
So I teach things like, as I mentioned earlier, communication skills, negotiation skills, supervisory skills. And supervisory skills, you don't need to be a supervisor, but if you have people working for you and you're the boss, you need to have skills to be the boss, to build a team, to direct the team, and to feel competent and grounded. And we sometimes unground ourselves just with language that we use. And because we use language that is has no power. They're
Yes.
just words, like the word should. The word should has no power whatsoever. But we use it, people use it and use it and use it. You should do this. You shouldn't do that. It has no power. You can replace it with, if I'm directing someone who is my employee, I can say to them, you need to do this because, and then I lay out the reason. And
Mhm.
if you have a better way of doing it, would you please tell me, and then we can see if that will work. So in other words, you're giving them the opportunity to develop their own style, but you also need to know that there's a way that it needs to be done if they don't have a better way of doing it, versus saying you should do this or you shouldn't do that.
Yes, very true. Words are powerful, and we have to use it the correct way. And you're right. We use a lot of, words that have no power, and
That's right.
that needs to be changed. Yes, because
Yes,
using
we
the
use the word try. Try is another word. Try, try, try.
yes,
Trying and doing is two different things.
I'll see what I can do, or I'll check it later. These are completely, that those really, are pet peeves of mine because I'd rather someone say no. I can't do it. I won't do it. Then, oh, I'll try. I'll see what I can do. Come on, just be honest. Tell me the truth, straight up. We both grown adults. We're not
Again,
kids. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Well, there was a test done at GE way back in the good old days. Um, they used the word try. Every time an employee used the word try, they only got it done 50% of the time.
And I'm surprised. I was expecting less than 10%.
Well, this one was said 50%. And then if the person says I will, it's 80% that they do it. Now, you say, well, if they said I will, why isn't it 100%? Well, here's the answer to that. I will means that you've made a commitment based on the information you have in the moment. However, when you start working, there's things that you may not have thought of, or there may be a contingency that you did not expect. And now you can't get it done when you said you'd get it done. But that person always comes back and says, I have a glitch here. I need help, or I need more time. Whereas the person who says, I'll try, they don't come back and say there's a glitch.
Mhm.
They wait until the deadline and said, well, I tried. And there you are left hanging.
Yeah, exactly.
So the word try is what I call a firecracker word.
I love that. I agree.
If you accept the word try as a commitment, it'll come back to bite you more often than not.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So those are the kinds of things that I teach when I'm working with managers, executives, CEOs, um, and frontline people too. And I work with fast track employees in corporations that the company wants them to be on a fast track to promote in promotion, because not only of their skills but of their abilities, but they have organizational issues that need to be shored up. And so I'll work with those people on helping them to be more organized and to use shortcuts like don't accept a try. Do
Yes.
not accept a try. Simple as that. And they don't know
Agree.
that going in. So if they're on a fast track, they need to learn all those firecracker words up front instead of failing along the way.
Hmm. Absolutely. That is so true. That is so true. Tell us about an example of the most remarkable transformational change you've seen of someone going through your program, going through your, yeah.
A business program.
Actually, both. I think both business program and also your hypnotherapy. Other than the one you mentioned, the other lady that you helped, but
Okay, well, yeah. I was working in a corporation, and there was another consultant who was also working in the same company. And we kind of got to be friends, chat back and forth, that kind of thing during breaks and during lunch hour. And he had depression, and he was very reluctant to take risks.
mm,
And he'd always put his hand on his heart, which was a signal to me that he was trying to protect himself, protect a vital organ. So I made the cautious suggestion that maybe he had something going on in a past life. He didn't believe in past lives at all. No way. Not going to do that stupid thing. And I kind of hinted around, let's do it just for the fun of it.
mhm.
If you're willing to do it for the fun of it, and I fail, no foul. Okay, so he agreed, came to my office. We did the past life regression, and he had been in the military in Canada as a mounted police in the military. And his supervisor, his manager, his captain, whatever his title was,
Mhm.
had ordered him because of a guy who had gone AOL in the military. He was ordered to kill him,
Wow.
and he would not do it. He would not do it. So the captain, or whatever his title was, killed him, killed the person who went AOL, and then turned around and shot the guy in the
Wow.
heart.
Wow. Mhm.
So what
Mhm.
I did then was I had him talk to the captain and stand up to the captain and tell him exactly what was what in that situation, and that released him to be able to do what he needed to do in order to be number one, off antidepressants, and number two, step up and be the person he knew he could be.
So you made him go back to that scene with him confronting his captain and telling him, "No, I'm not going to do that." So did that end up in changing the course of his history and his life?
Correct.
Oh
Correct.
wow.
That empowers the person, because he was not willing, I guess, to say what he wanted to say, except that he was not going to kill the lieutenant or whatever his title was. And so the captain shot him and then turned around and shot the other guy
So in a
for
sense, that
insubordination. For insubordination.
wow. So did that create, in a sense, another timeline for him and for the captain as well, that are now in a parallel, universe dimension, want to call it, to the one he is right now?
Right. What turned out is was able to start his own business in doing consulting,
In
because
that
before
life.
he was subcontracting,
Oh wow. So that was
and
in
then
that life because he wasn't killed. Okay, I see. Okay. Wow.
yes, he was not afraid of being killed if he made a mistake.
Amazing.
So
Wow.
last I heard, it was very successful. I haven't heard from him. You know how things go. But the last I heard, he was doing very well in his consulting practice.
So what was his reaction upon waking up from that hypnotherapy session? Was he shocked? I'm sure he was now a
He
firm
was
believer, right?
surprised. And he said, I can't believe that came out of my mouth. I can't believe that I said all of that. And I said, well, it came out of your mouth. It didn't come out of mine. So it has to be true.
So when someone is doing a progression, are they physically aware of what they're saying, or do you record that, and when they get out of the hypnosis, you replay that session to them?
If they want to have it recorded, yes, they can record it on their cell phone now.
Hmm.
And some people do. I usually take notes. Then I can give them the notes so that they know of it, the what they said. But usually and some of it they remember, some of it they don't. But because I take notes, I can always tell them what they said. And then we do a summary of the past life regression. And
But
then pardon?
sorry, and but are they aware of what they're saying and seeing during their regression when they
Yes,
wake up? I mean,
yes.
while they say, not when they wake up, while they being in hypnosis,
Well,
are they?
right, while they're in it, they're listening to themselves.
Wow.
They're
Mm.
listening to themselves in that life, and they can see themselves in that life, and they can feel themselves in that life. They're in that life. And so, like yesterday, when I was working with my client, she could feel the pain that she had been in that life. And then when we came back out of it, when she stood up, she said, "Oh, no pain."
Wow. Amazing. Miracle.
Yes, a miracle. And then when I do hypnosis, because that's what the person is coming to me for, there's so many that are miracles, and I think they're all miracles, because it's no matter what they resolved, it was the miracle for them. It could be
Mhm.
cancer, it could be fibromyalgia, it could be lupus, it could be things like sexual abuse, physical abuse, trauma, um, and it could be smoke cessation, weight loss. Um, one woman, she had this is another leg thing. She thought her leg was atrophying, and she was afraid to even go out of the house because she was afraid that her leg would collapse. The neurologists all said, it's in your head because there's nothing wrong with your leg. It's not atrophy. Long story short, when she was in a prehistoric lifetime, her leg had been eaten by a dinosaur type animal.
My
And
God.
when she said that in the regression, I thought, this doesn't sound right. But I didn't say anything. I did research afterwards, and yes, there was a dinosaur-like animal that ate meat.
Wow. So she must have carried that pain with her for like millions of years, and I don't know how many hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of lifetimes. Then
Correct.
that's incredible.
And the
Wow.
reason that she had the fear about having to use her leg, she needed to go back to work after a divorce, and she had had alimony for 10 years, and it was now the end of 9 years, and she needed to go back to work because she wasn't going to have alimony anymore. She was going to have child support, but no alimony,
Wow.
no spousal support. And so she was fearful because she failed in that lifetime because she didn't protect herself from that being killed, and she left a wife and child. He left a wife
Yes,
and
of
child
course.
in that
Of course.
lifetime. And
Of
so that would
course.
be probably the one that sticks out the most of
Wow.
all the ones I've done.
Incredible. That's quite an incredible life to be able to help see people where they actually came from, who they are, open their eyes and help them, solve whatever mental blockage or physical ailment they may have. Can hypnotherapy be used to help cure like physical ailment, like say cancer and things like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. For everything from abdominal pain, which starts with an A, and everything to zits, which starts with a Z, everything in between. Your mind is your best doctor. Your mind is your best doctor. As a matter of fact, Louise Hay translated Chinese medicine into English because the Chinese believe that your mind is your best doctor. And it's all been translated into her book, You Can Heal Your Life.
That's great. Incredible. So if that is, if that is possible, so how come, why is not, you know, modern medicine not using that?
Modern medicine is, well, because modern medicine is focused based on,
Wait on
well,
that.
yes, it's based on that, but it's also based on there's a potion, a chemical potion for everything, and we're going to build it in a lab, and then we can make money, and then we can keep a patient for the rest of our lives. The rest of your life, you're a patient.
Is they're most concerned about keeping you, I mean, treating the, the symptom as opposed to going at the root of it, because
Correct. Treating
it's
symptoms, that's all the medical profession and the psychiatric profession does is treat symptoms. They do not treat the cause.
because it's infinitely more profitable for them to do that versus healing a person. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And people want to know what is their diagnosis when they come to me. And I say, you don't need a diagnosis. All we need to do is find the pain, heal the pain, and you're good to go.
Wow, incredible.
We don't need a diagnosis. We need to find the cause.
Have you had any cases of incredible cases of healing, like physical ailment, like say cancer or any other physical
Well,
diseases from your clients?
sure, heart.
Wow.
Heart problems are another one. People have had mitral valve prolapse. And the mitral valve is when the blood is pushed into the heart and then it has to come back out again. They push it out, push it back. There's a little valve that is a little flap and it goes in, it opens to push in and closes, and then it opens again. And if that doesn't go properly, you have what's called fibrillation. There's a pill for that. So I have worked with people. I've worked both with men and women on a mitral valve prolapse, and all it is fear. That's all
Fear.
it is. Fear
Mhm.
of something. What's the fear? Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of stepping out and doing your thing. And when
Yes.
that fear is resolved, the mitral valve prolapse all of a sudden works perfectly.
Wow. At any age is not an
There's no
issue.
prolapse. Pardon?
At any age, there's
Any
no.
age. In fact, the one woman I worked with was 75, and
Wow.
another guy was 64.
Incredible. I mean, this information needs to be spread to the world because that can literally be life changing. And literally,
Well, yes, I change people's lives on a daily basis. I usually have 5 or 6 people a day.
not only life
Not,
changing, but
not weekends. Pardon?
not only life changing, but and in some cases even life saving.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Anything I do is life savings, life
Absolutely.
saving.
Wow.
I'm not the only one. There's about 50 people in the United States that does the work that I do, but in the European countries and Asian countries and South American countries, there's hundreds,
How about in
hundreds.
Canada? How about in Canada?
Canada has more than the United States, yes.
Really? Okay. And by that you mean hypnotherapist?
Well, there's hypnotherapists that can do work like smoke cessation, weight loss, and then there's people who do the kind of work that I do, and they're called transformational people, metaphysicians. So there's about 50 in the United States that do the work that I do.
Metaphysical. Okay. What is the work of a metaphysical professional?
Metaphysician,
Yeah.
meta means communication
Mm-hmm.
in Sanskrit. Physician means healing. So when you use the word metaphysician means communication and healing work together.
Incredible. Wow. I mean, we can keep talking for hours, but we gotta keep this short because I'm sure we're already getting almost like an hour and a half.
Yes, I know, but it's been wonderful.
I know.
I've
I love
enjoyed
that.
it.
I'm truly blessed to be. That's what I love the most, connecting with amazing people. That's incredible. So let me ask you some question now about, the theme of my podcast is leaders with a heart. That is, people that are building impactful businesses to give back. You mentioned earlier that you're very passionate about helping as a philanthropist. Tell us more about that aspect of your life. What cause would you say you're most passionate about?
What am I most passionate about?
What cause? Yes. What cause?
What caused me to be passionate? I'll tell you, it's not a very easy story to hear.
Mhm.
When I was 7, my aunt, my dad's sister, was taken to a hospital and she was having psychotic breaks. And at age 7, I knew that all she needed was the right kind of attention and love.
Mhm.
That was my solution at 7. Well, long story short, when my parents were taking her to the hospital and for her condition, I heard a voice that said, "Someday you will have a significant impact in people's lives."
Wow.
So at age 7, what do you do with that message? I had no clue. So I
Did you
just went
tell?
off.
Did you tell anyone?
No, by age 7, I knew I had to be careful what I talked about. So the story, that memory kind of went back into the ether somewhere. And when I was a senior in high school, my aunt died from an overdose of drugs that she was being treated with. So thank you very much. I'm standing at the gravesite, still not knowing what I was going to do in my life after I graduated from high school and what college did I want to go to. And as I'm standing there, I hear that message again.
Wow.
Someday you will have a significant impact in people's lives.
Wow. Incredible.
And I thought, wow, that I remembered now hearing that message before. And I knew I couldn't go to my guidance counselor to get into a school that would give me what I needed. So I said, well, what do I do? Long story short, I did a business degree, got a business degree. And then I found out that I could get a degree in a mental health care and then go from there to get my degree in hypnotherapy. And then as I'm doing my hypnotherapy, I'm reading and reading and reading and reading, and I'm hearing about miracles taking place in countries like India. And so I start reading about the miracles coming out of India and some in Australia. And I said, okay, there's where I'm headed.
Wonderful.
And here I am, having miracles, creating miracles,
That's amazing.
and teaching other people on how to help people have miracles in their practice.
Incredible. That's amazing. Wow.
So I guess wasn't going to escape doing what I was intending to do when I came here.
hmm What would you say now, knowing all that you know? What is your primary life lesson to learn in this lifetime?
Well, interestingly enough, I came to stand up to my dad
Okay.
as a dad, and I did. And I came to learn from my mother that sometimes people are deceptive. And so she was the quintessential person to teach me. Took me forever to learn, but I did learn it. And then the other reason was to do the work I'm doing. And
Wonderful.
then with my siblings, I was the sibling that they counted on to keep clarity, I think.
Okay. Wow. Let me ask you now some. Well, I love this conversation. We can keep going on, but we might have to do a follow up in a few months. But for now, we're just going to be wrapping it up with some lighter questions, some more fun questions. Imagine, first of all, do you have your own podcast? Or you
Yes,
already? What is it
I
called?
have a podcast. Yes,
What
I
is it?
have a podcast. It's not on hypnotherapy as much as it is about um, having ways to get clarity about issues such as fear, anger, and tools for self empowerment, tools for self confidence, tools for communication tools.
What's the title of your podcast?
My URL.
No, the name of your podcast.
Oh, the name of the podcast is um, Holistic,
Okay.
Hypnotic Holistic Health.
Hyp-
HypnoticHolisticHealth.com.
Okay, I'll put it in the show. Hypnotic holistic. What? Sorry.
HypnoticHolisticHealth.com.
Okay. I'll put it in the show note. Okay, so imagine that. Well, let's say that today in your own podcast, you have the most special guest in the world for you, which is yourself. What will be the first question you will ask yourself? And by that, I don't mean the question that you've been meaning to ask you for a long time, but the first question that comes, spontaneously to you. The first question that comes to your mind.
Oh my goodness, there's so many. I always have so many questions that I want to answer, and I want
I can imagine. Yeah. What
yeah,
will be
it's
the first
hard to
one?
say which question would be best. Um,
It's not the best. It's the word that comes the first to your mind.
to ask myself,
Yes.
oh, I think sometimes I wonder what keeps me going.
And what is it?
And what keeps me going is passion. Passion for
Love
what
that.
I do, passion for the things that I like.
Amazing. Okay. Imagine now you add a time machine and you can go back in time and meet your 18-year-old self. What would be the first piece of advice you would give to yourself knowing all that you know now?
Somebody I'd want to meet.
No. Let's say you can go back in time. You have a time machine and you're meeting your 18-year-old self, yourself when you were 18. What would be the first piece of advice you would give to yourself at 18, knowing all that you know now?
Keep going.
Mm, keep going.
Just keep
Awesome.
going.
Imagine now that you've been blessed because you're an amazing person. You've been blessed with a superpower. Let's say God tells you, Dorothy, you've been an amazing human being. I want to reward you by granting you one superpower for the rest of your life. Which one would it be?
A superpower. Well, my superpower is my unconscious mind.
Absolutely. I
And
love
you
that.
can't take that away from me. You can't
Mhm.
change that. And the more I do what I do, the more power I have expanding my unconscious mind.
Absolutely. Love that. And what's the best way to get in touch with you if someone wants to contact you?
Oh, well, I have a website, I have a phone number. Uh,
So you
you
said
can
your
use,
website your
Google my
website is
name.
you said your website is hypnoticholistichealth.com.
That's just my podcast. My
Okay.
website, I have a website, which is Dr. Dorothy, Dorothy.net.
Oh wow. Okay. .net. Okay, perfect. And do you have any parting tips for anyone that is looking to find some answers, and whether just any general parting tip to anyone right now listening to this?
Well, I think people owe it to themselves to know more about themselves, other than what they know on the conscious level. They owe it to themselves, and no one can give it to themselves except themselves.
I love that.
No one can
Absolutely.
stop them, and no one can give it to them. So they're the one that's in the driver's seat.
Amazing. I totally agree with that. Listen, it's been an absolute honor, and I do mean it. It's not just some nice being polite. I absolutely mean it's an absolute honor connecting with you, talking with you. The past 2 hours just flew by. I could
Yes, it
talk to
did.
you. I could talk to you like for hours and hours. We'll definitely keep in touch and do a follow up maybe in a few months. But it's been again an absolute blast, absolute honor. Thank you for blessing us with your incredible wisdom. And for me, I
Yes.
will definitely do some more research. Maybe I will pursue actually, at least get some information on what is the process for me to become maybe an hypnotherapist, because
Okay.
that's something that I'm
Let's keep in
passionate.
touch. Absolutely. Let's keep in touch.
Yes, and send me
Okay. And
the
I'll get you that information. I have your email.
absolutely. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for
Well,
everything.
thank you. This
Keep
has been a wonderful interview.
keep. It's my pleasure. Keep blessing the world with your
I
wisdom.
will.
Stay
Thank you.
safe. Stay awesome. God bless. Take care. Have a
I
great day.
will.
Thank you.
You
Bye bye.
too.
Take care.
Bye
Ciao
bye.
ciao. Bye.